Hello Cowboys Nation, welcome to another video, and without further ado, let's get to another round of news from America's team. Cowboys, All-Pro cornerback DaRon Bland engaging in extension talks. The Dallas Cowboys coverage has been almost fully occupied by news and information concerning the when and where of the extension of 3x All-Pro defensive end, Micah Parsons, who is still sans deal. Whilst the Cowboys and owner, Jerry Jones, have been chipping away at other extensions in the meantime, the team re-signed tight end, Jake Ferguson, and defensive tackle, Motzie Smith. Over the past few months, the primary focus is and should be on the former Penn State star. Nonetheless, there are other high-level players that need to be paid, and if they won't be paid by Dallas, they will almost certainly get a big deal from another team. One main player who falls into this category is DaRon Bland, the former 5th-round pick and All-Pro corner, whose contract is up at the end of the season. Bland is the starting nickelback for the Cowboys, next to Trayvon Diggs and Kaiir Elam, who remain the team's boundary cornerbacks. Slot cornerbacks do not normally get compensated at the same rate as their compatriots on the exterior. But with Diggs having struggled to stay healthy over the past couple of seasons, and his play also suffered, it is quite possible that the former 2x Pro Bowler ends up getting cut, which could both open up the cap space to re-sign Bland, and increase the need to retain top-level secondary players. Marlon Humphrey is currently the highest-paid inside cornerback, with his deal coming in at around $19.4 million per year. However, upon signing the deal in 2020, Humphrey was considered an outside cornerback, having only just been moved to the interior just after the start of the 2024 season. A similar situation has arose with Bland, who has played a substantial amount of time on the perimeter before being moved inwards. Unfortunately for the Fresno State man, his move came before his impending second contract. Even if Bland matches Humphrey's per-year number, it would still be a substantial ways away from the contracts of the highest-paid cornerbacks in the league like Derek Stingley Jr. and Sauce Gardner, who are both making around $30 million per year. Garrett Podale of CBS Sports made a projection of what some of the Cowboys' highest priority candidates could receive in the form of an extension from Dallas, and they believe the number will come at a figure that supersedes Humphrey, but does not touch the heights of Stingley Jr. or Gardner. Given his ball skills and mostly lining up outside throughout his career, Podale wrote on Tuesday, Bland will be asking for top-of-the-market money for a cornerback. A 5-year, $101 million extension would rank Bland second at his position in contract total value and sixth in average per-year salary, $20.3 million. The length of the deal would be advantageous to the team spreading out his money for salary cap purposes. $101 million is obviously nothing to sniff at, but if Bland feels like he can and should make much more than that, he may have to turn his sights elsewhere. Cowboys' George Pickens makes feelings clear on future in Dallas. Give the Cowboys some credit. They entered the 2025 offseason with one gaping hole that fans wanted to see filled more than any other. And while they did not have to pay a hefty price to make it happen, they did fill that hole, and did it admirably. They finally got a quality wide receiver 2 to go with CeeDee Lamb at wide receiver 1 and Dak Prescott at quarterback. The Cowboys brought in George Pickens, adding him in a trade from the Steelers for the team's 2026 third-round pick. Additionally, the Cowboys will send a 2027 fifth-round pick to the Steelers and receive a 2027 sixth-rounder. Already in training camp, the potential of an offense with both Lamb and Pickens on the field has been obvious. But the question in Dallas is just how long Cowboys fans will have to enjoy that 1-2 punch. George Pickens, most definitely, wants to stay in Dallas. Pickens is making clear he'd like to stay put. In an interview with the Dallas radio station 105.3 The Fan, Pickens said he would ideally remain in Dallas beyond this season. As he said, via John Machota of The Athletic, "Oh yeah, most definitely. Because I've watched the team for so long, and the camaraderie. I kind of understand the camaraderie more than I did in Pittsburgh. Even with what you guys do. The Cowboys, like I said, are known for the Super Bowl. Pickens was dealt away by Pittsburgh because, in part, he is an impending free agent, and the Steelers did not want to give him top dollar on the open market. It's doubtful the Cowboys would want to either. For 2025, they're on the hook for $3.65 million, but Pickens' projected contract going forward would be, according to Spotrac, around $25 million per year, 4 years, $101 million. Pickens could, potentially, warrant more than that, especially if he has a good enough year to put himself back into the mix as a wide receiver 1. Even if he were to stay with the Cowboys, he would be arguably the best wide receiver 2 in the game, and Bengals star T. Higgins just got 4 years, $115 million as a wide receiver 2. Angry Schottenheimer issues rare Cowboys punishment after fights. It was less than a week ago that Cowboys coach Brian Schottenheimer, having put up with 3 training camp fights between teammates in just 2 practices, had announced he'd had enough. First it was star receiver CeeDee Lamb getting into a scuffle with cornerback Kernan Hall after a touchdown. Then, it was second-year tight end Brevin Spanford and rookie Donovan Ezeruaku going at it after a bit too much pushing and shoving after a play. And last Thursday, it was worse, with punches thrown and landed. Veteran linebacker Marquise Bell swung at rookie tight end Byron Neville, and his punches wound up hitting cornerback Troy Pride. After that incident, Schottenheimer announced that anyone seen throwing punches would be sent off the field. That cooled tensions, for a while. At least until Wednesday, when things boiled over again. According to those witnessing practice in Oxnard, there was more discouraging infighting from the Cowboys, as a reported 3-team skirmishes broke out, causing Schottenheimer to stop practice and dish out a punishment that any former youth football player knows well, running. That's something that almost never happens at this level. But an angry Schottenheimer actually stopped an NFL practice and made the Cowboys run sideline to punish the team for its poor behavior. Veteran reporter Clarence Hill wrote on Twitter, X, "Too many fights. Cowboys coach Brian Schottenheimer stops practice and makes Cowboys run." John Machota of The Athletic wrote on Twitter, X, "Too much fighting, and Cowboys coach Brian Schottenheimer isn't happy. You want to fight, let's fight. Get your F on the sideline. He's making them run."